Oof. Well, I guess I'm not taking a break of drinking anytime soon.
No, why would
Well, at
you?
least
I'm
today
thinking like a day.
and tomorrow.
Yeah. And yesterday. Did I go? Maybe I didn't have anything on Tuesday. I didn't
good
because
day.
I was flattened.
And with that, welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast all about video games and crap. I'm Ben, here with Lucy.
Hello, I'm not drinking beer today. So it's only about video games.
Just video games for Lucy.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
we're here with Aadil.
What?
Who may be drinking.
I have been drinking. I
Hey.
am drinking.
Oh, well,
I'm
like,
drinking
I
today.
have as
I
well,
haven't
so
actually been
that
drinking. I'm
qualifies.
just quite tired, and so I'm a little off.
That's fair.
Mm.
Aren't we all? You can see, like, my eyes just slope down from zero sleep. Let's get into the beers that we are drinking now. I'm only having one this week because Lucy's not drinking. It's a slightly
Oh.
shorter episode this week because of evening commitments. So I'm drinking one beer, but it is a little bit of a big boy. This is from Siren Craft Beer. It's the Maiden 2017. You can't quite see from the glare of my spotlight there.
Yeah, a little
I
bit.
can see a maiden.
Mhm. So, what does it say? It is 11.3%. The first batch brewed at Siren was to provide the base for our first annual release. This barley wine has been aged in many different barrels, and then, using expertise from the wine and whiskey world, blended into what stands before you in this bottle. Visit our website to find out more about the Maiden series. Doesn't give you a huge amount, which is great, which is fine. Just a little tease about what's going on. Bottle Shop did have 2017 and 2018.
Yes. Yeah.
But I thought I'd pick up 2017, start, start at the beginning, or just the earlier version, which I haven't had before.
It's had an extra year to soak in all the juices.
Yeah, I mean that sounds
Exactly.
fine.
And I'm now... Okay, you describe, Aadil. I have to carve through this ridiculous waxy seal.
That's
Oh,
not
dear.
a Magnum bottle, is it? No, it's not, is it? No.
No.
No,
No.
it's very little. It's only 375.
Okay.
Oh,
I've got a beer. It is called Honor by Northern Monk.
Yeah, I was about
Oh,
to say, is that
yes.
the... Is it Faith and Honor? What is it? Honor and... something?
I don't know what the other one is.
Yeah. Is that the white can?
It's the beigey.
Yeah, the beigey one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Assassin's Creed guy on the front. It's a
Altier. Well,
it's a West Coast triple IPA, 10.5%, and it is a triple West Coast IPA with upfront citrus bitterness and a big pine hop character for people that prefer the light side. And it's like I said, 10.5%, and it doesn't tell me what stuffs it is.
oh no.
yeah, because they did another series, which was like light and dark with two opposing names.
Yeah.
I remember
That was
those.
last
Those
year,
were
wasn't it?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one was a double and one was a triple, maybe. I can't remember.
It was definitely a darker beer, I think.
Maybe a stout, maybe an imperial stout. It was, and a triple IPA.
That
Perhaps.
that's
I do
got
remember
a-
those. I do remember those from last year.
Yeah. I'll
That's
try.
got quite a lovely citrus and a little mango right off the nose.
Yeah?
Like a sweet mango. Kind of
that
like we were saying, I can't think of when the past couple of weeks we talked to sort of like an overripe chocolate
Yes,
fruit.
you did. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the aroma reminds me of that, but it's a little less in your face sweet, but like just like an overripe ripe mango waft.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is going to take me an absolute age to actually get into. So, why don't you crack on with your beer and tell us what it's like? I've managed to carve my way around the top, using my
Jesus.
little pirate bottle opener's saw arm, but
Right.
Halfway there.
it's not easy. I've hit glass, so at least I'm
You get
at
it.
least I'm part of the way there.
Jesus.
I find that there's probably some really good way of actually getting into these kinds of bottles that I have
Yes.
no idea about.
The Novomonk ones from last year, I believe, were Life and Death.
Right.
One was an Imperial Stout, 12%, and the Life was, I think it was a triple IPA, but yes. Go research that if you're keen to know.
And what? Sorry, Aadil, I missed it. What style was this one? West
It
Coast.
is a West Coast triple.
Yeah.
Triple. Have you had a
So
taste?
a
Yeah.
WC Tipper.
Tipper.
Yeah. All the letters. Just try and fit all of them in these
Is
days.
it double dry hopped? DDH.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem to have a DDH.
IPA.
Yeah. Although again, because of the strength of the nose, I wouldn't be surprised if it was dry hopped, but it didn't sort of say on the tin,
Yeah.
which is actually a 10.
I'd be curious to know if that mango taste carries on through the flavour, if it's just
Yeah, if it's just
the
sort
hop
of.
aroma, or if you're getting that sweetness on the alcohol and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm
because-
pretty sweet on alcohol.
Because what I can remember from those Northern Monk beers is that they were very drinkable, not
Yes.
too sweet and heavy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I had both of those or just one of them. I don't remember.
I had the life and
I don't
death. I
remember.
don't think I've had the honour and whatever else.
The other one?
is. What's the opposite of honour? Shame?
Is it opposites?
I don't
Is
know.
it shame?
I don't know.
Dishonor.
Also, yeah, I was thinking something, but I was like, instead of being so on the nose, maybe it's something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Get
know.
a
I don't know.
Thesaurus of... No, an antonym thesaurus, what is that called?
Mm.
I finally managed to open the barley wine.
Hey!
It smells like a barley wine.
Looks
A
like
little bit of sort of like a ruby port sort of sweetness to it in there.
It's a heathen.
Heathen, yes.
Honour and... Isn't
It doesn't
even
quite
one of their
work.
own?
It seems-
I don't...
Yeah.
Are you sure that's the opposite? I swear they've
I don't know whether it's the
I don't
opposite.
know.
I'm saying right now they have the core collection includes.
Yeah, but Heathen's another beer, isn't it?
Well, it
Isn't
has
that
to.
like an IPA or something? Isn't that
It is
one
an
of the-
IPA, so maybe it's not the.
I don't think it's the pair to Honour.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Maybe there isn't a pair. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe they didn't pair it this year.
Shame. Beer called Shame.
Just a shame they didn't pair it, perhaps.
Oh.
So this barley wine, as I say, smells like a barley wine. A bit of sort of port, some sweetness, a little bit of sort of maybe red wine barrel. What did they say? Red wine and whiskey barrels. I think that they turned to. Yeah, the red wine, or just from the wine. Sorry, not red wine. The wine and whiskey world. So it's definitely quite.
Oh, interesting.
It's a barley wine, but that's kind of like all I'm getting from it, really. Sort of
Not
those,
getting,
those
like,
slightly sweet kind of notes.
Like licorice.
getting-
Not getting any chocolate or anything like that.
Not that I can get at the moment. No, not on the nose. I'll have a sip. Adol, have you had a sip of yours yet?
I haven't yet.
Drink. Drink, man, drink.
Drink.
Down it. Triple IPA.
That's
Just
really
next it in
smooth.
one. Just-
Yeah, just thwack.
It's been done before.
It's really smooth. It's got a nice sort of navel orangey citrusness, like just a little bit of sweet going on with that. Probably helped by the 10.5%. I mean, to be honest, the tin's bang on. It's got the bitterness is citrus and piney. Like we get the nice sort of pine background.
Yeah.
Well, my nose is a little plugged up today, so I don't know if I'm picking up all the things. It is very drinkable, like the one like you were saying, Lucy, with the previous set. Which right now they're seasonals. I just looked it up. They have Death and they have Glory and they have Honor. So I assume it's Honor and Glory and Death might
Yes.
be just leftover stock.
From the life and death. Yeah.
But Glory is also a 10.5% tipper.
Oh. Wonder what
So they
differentiates
do
them.
like different. Also, their website is fucking terrible. Every beer you click on, you have to go through a splash saying I'm over 18. Every time, really. Every page you go to, it like
Wow.
clearly it's something to chat the bed, but it's just like what? No, stop. And it's animated. So everything
So you have
takes
to
a long
wait.
time.
Oh my god. Children don't have time for that. They just click off straight away, so not
I will
over
say
18, you wouldn't be on the website.
No graphication here.
I will say the
This isn't Fortnite.
dab.
Why is everyone wearing their clothes? What's going on?
That mango-ness sort of tropical fruit I got off the nose isn't really present in the taste. Yeah. So it's pretty smooth.
Yeah,
Sorry, I interrupted. I'm just going to have to do some logistical stuff.
it's fine. Yeah, you know, it's. I found the other ones like quite smooth and like. I think it's well, from what I understand, it's the amount of hops that they just put in there that just makes it so drinkable and so just
Smooth.
masks the ABV, yeah, and makes it smooth and easy
Yeah,
to drink.
there's
So
no way I could tell this is 10.5%. Like even with that, like that sweetness, it's so well enmeshed with the sort of bitterness of the citrus that, like I said, it just tastes like a specific type of citrus, which is a little sweet, rather than sort of like citrus and sweet. It's just really, really well melded. This might go down a little too quickly.
yeah, it looks quite clear. It looks almost like a lager from where I am.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a lager.
Wow, that's really clear.
A lot of carbonation to it as well, still bubbling through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's extraordinarily drinkable. He says, having consistently, you can see where the legs are. It's yeah. I did bring an emergency second beer. I would need it. And that might not be the case.
See how quickly that one does go down.
Demolishes itself.
Yes, yeah. Itself, obviously, not.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you like how I've
taken?
taken all of my autonomy out of yeah, you know, this is why I have these fucking terrible night-long adventures these days, is because pretending like there's no choice in the matter. Things are happening. I guess I'm doing them.
Yeah, just go with
Against the
it.
will.
Just go with it.
Yeah.
Good. So the barley wine.
Mm.
If you have nothing further to say about Honor,
I mean, I can say a lot about
the beer.
How
is it?
To be honest,
Just-
I'm running on empty a bit because I was like, oh, there's a For Honor joke there. What is it? Oh, no, it's
Dishonored
not happening.
joke, no.
Yeah,
But I was going to ask, how do they spell it?
like real
For
people.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, with me.
Good.
They spell it with me.
Yeah. Aadil's on it.
Still going well.
Okay.
Okay.
ADILL. R. Spell it with me. Okay. Yeah. So barley wine.
Barley wine, it's really nice. It's as with yours, it is very, very easy. Kind of the more I stick my nose in, the more I'm getting those red winey sort of notes to it. And when you sip it, it's got a very, very velvety kind of texture to it. Really nice, kind of just that little, just very, very slightly syrupy. Not too much at all. Just that little bit of thickness there to it, and the sweetness kind of kicks through really well, but it dissipates quite nicely into this more woody and almost coffee in there as well, like a roasted sort of nut. And I'm not sure whether that's more I'm getting sort of a roasted kind of coffee. Maybe it's more the wood and kind of what's happened to it moving through there rather than roasted coffee as such. But that's kind of what I'm getting from it at the moment, and it kind of that kicks in, and it's almost as if it's a slightly like a sugared coffee with that little bit of sweetness to it. And the coffee or the roasted kind of notes do fade quite sweetly and just leave you with that sweetness. And that sweetness just runs through the entire flavour. And even now, it's a nice and wet. It's not. It's a little dry. It's sort of dried out my mouth, but I've still got that sweetness with me now. So it doesn't make me pick it back up, wanting to sort of to get that flavour again, because it lasts. It's still here, and I have that. If I want that big hit of sweetness, that little bit of red wine first, and then the sort of like the complex wood and roasting sort of thing that's going on through that, obviously pick it back up. But it just does enough on that end note to stay with me and not have to pick it back up. As with yours, Aadil, it is dangerous. I think that the sweetness does feel more of like a red wine kind of a slightly buried kind of sweetness to it, rather than the alcohol pushing through. So it masks kind of, that 11.3%, just very, very well. I know with barley wines you kind of expect that little bit more sweetness to them, and maybe the alcohol kind of kicks in, midway through sort of the flavour a little bit more, but maybe that's what the roasted coffee notes are kind of doing. They're pulling away from the alcohol very slightly, which is great. Makes it, I've just said I don't want to reach back for this because I'm enjoying that lasting flavour, but I think if that alcohol showed through a little bit, I would be reaching for it to get that slightly nicer kind of sweetness that you're getting right at the start of this.
Okay.
For me, having sort of sipped and take breaks, I've noticed that it's quite neutral on, like, it doesn't dry you out or whatever, but the pininess sort of is the thing that lingers the most. So I am finding myself wanting to reach for it because that background pininess just isn't fading. So when things get off balance, it's like, I kind of want to offset that
sweets,
sort of back flavor.
Yeah.
And again, it's not because it's drying me out. It's not because it's super bitter and like, I need to offset, but just like, like 30 seconds on, I'm like, I don't just want this taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
It's called being well balanced.
Yeah. So I mean, so it's nice because it's sort of, it's like the taste sort of calls you back, but not in a strong forward way that's like I'm needing to do this. It's like, oh yeah, maybe let's try this again.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. It's very good.
Very nice.
Good. So, Lucy, you don't have a beer.
No.
So we're going to kick into you for the first topic of this episode.
Don't kick into Lucy. She's got nothing wrong, you violent mother.
Jump to Lucy.
So apparently,
kick a girl while she's
open the floor up.
To swallow her? What is this? Inverted glass ceiling bullshit?
Everything can be
you?
taken just the wrong way, can't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Lucy, what do you want to talk about?
My topic is games I've been playing.
Games too.
Yeah.
Games are fun, it turns out.
They're not really. No, they are. They are. Yeah, I've been on a PC kick of late.
God, I wish I had a PC. I mean, I do.
Well, to be fair, the games that I've been playing are, very, not intensive. They're not going to max out your GPU or anything. So, I've been playing bits and bobs. I'll just quickly go through them. Play something called Kuso, Kuso, which is just like a little platformer, very simple. You play as a little stick man. You run all over the place. And what's clever about it is that you can set the checkpoints yourself. So, you're coming up to like a really hard platforming section. I'm going to just set a checkpoint here and go through it. And it's like, it looks like a really cool thing that would be for speedrunning. Don't think anyone's like. I think the developer today was like saying, someone at GDQ, Games Done Quick, please, someone speedrun this because it's such a cool game, very fast paced, great
is it,
controls.
Is it like a limited number of checkpoints?
Yeah, you can play different modes. You can have unlimited checkpoints. You can play a speedrun, or you can play like hard, certain number of lives, etc. So it does give you that variety.
So what makes, maybe I'm being obtuse, but like what makes a checkpoint versus a save? Is it just like a box save state kind of thing?
It's very short levels. So you always checkpoint at the start of each level. I think there's 25 in total. If you buy Kuso, you also get his previous game, which might have been a Flash game. I can't remember. It might have been a downloadable game on Steam. But there's 15 levels in that, so it's about 40 in total, with a few extras added on. But yeah, it's I wouldn't say single screen because it's quite big, but you checkpoint at the start of every level. But the amount of obstacles in your way and stuff like that, you may want to checkpoint several different times between.
But it's basically like, just because it's so simple, just a quick.
Yeah. It's like Super Meat Boy ish. So
Okay, cool.
imagine if Super Meat Boy, you could,
Oh God, I
you
wish
know,
some of those
not die
fucking-
in half. You know, at the very end of the level, you had a checkpoint right before. So, but the amount of checkpoints that you do and how many deaths that you have, it obviously affects your grading at the end. So,
Right.
I think I got all
Grading. Oh,
D's
fuck
so, at
Fair.
the end of it. But yeah, it takes about 45 minutes to complete. If you play like both games. But yeah, it's cool.
Nice.
I really enjoy it. It's like nice pixel art, great music, nice little platformer for cheap, very cheap. I think I bought it for like 40 pence or something. So
Sweet.
Cool.
that's great. Another game I played. I was in the mood for a point and click.
Ooh.
I was like, because the Thimbleweed Park guys were like, "Oh, we have an announcement to make," and tempering everyone's expectations.
Mm.
They said, "No, it's not a sequel." And I was like, "God damn it!" So I had my eye on this game called Yorkshire Gubbins. That's a pixelated point and click game that uses like scum mechanics. You know, like the verbs like look at, use,
Oh, fuck
open,
yeah.
close, and stuff
Yeah, yeah.
like that. Yeah, it's a really
Old
short.
mud stuff.
Yeah. I should say that Kuzo is made by Fred, single developer, and Yorkshire Gubbins is made by a single developer as well called Charlotte Gore.
Okay.
Yeah, it came out, I think, a year and a half ago or something like that.
Mm.
I was just like, you know, I'm just going to take the plunge. It's £3 for £4. Yeah, it's a really humorous, like, bizarre point and click game. It's very short because I think the whole long and short of it, she was meant to, you know, release other episodes, and then she got evicted from her house in Yorkshire, and she ended up in Sweden, where she's loving it. But yeah,
different.
very strange. Yeah, but it's just a very comical, in, you know, like LucasArts, like
right.
kind of Tim Schafer, Ron Gilbert kind of humor with it, but
Is
also
it
in
sort of-
Yorkshire.
Is it pixel art or is it?
Yes, it's pixel art. Yeah, with like Yorkshire, you know, Yorkshire
Yeah.
accents and Yorkshire sensibilities, and
Lots of
yeah,
people
it's-
calling each other love.
yeah, yeah, and it's nice to get a game that's set in such a peculiar part of the UK, shall we say?
Well, just a part of the UK
Okay.
which we rarely see.
Yeah.
Not just in games, in entertainment generally.
In media.
That is very true, except for like Geordie Shore, which I unapologetically watched probably like 7 seasons of. So
Newcastle's not Yorkshire, is it?
no, but like Northern.
Oh no, okay.
Yeah. Anyone above London is Northern, and they're weird. There's actually a joke when it's like this guy from London and like, oh, you deserve all the crap that comes to you because you're from London. Anyway, if you're
I'm glad you recalled it and enjoyed it. That's good.
It's a good game. Where should I go next?
We could, I mean, we've both played a game.
We did.
We've played the same game.
Is
Shall we
this
talk
the
about-
game
shall-
that
shall we-
is this the game that I played the free version of?
Yes.
Probably. So I'm happy to cap off your discussion with that, or jump into it now.
I'll cap off because there is just one game I want to
Okay,
talk
yeah.
about. The dev sent it over to me, so thank you for that. It's also made by a single dev, so pattern forming here, and it's called Where the Bees Make Honey. And I didn't know.
Oh, I saw this. Actually,
Did
I
you
was
see
looking at
that?
this the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, it caught my eye a few weeks ago. I think I saw it last year on some. Maybe it was on some indie game reel. But what caught my eye is that like some of the bits that they showed in like the trailer was like almost a Captain Toad like kind of game where you've got this like little small diorama seen from like an isometric almost view. And you're like tilting and manipulating the environment to move around. So some of the game is that, and some of the game is something that you probably wouldn't be able to predict. It's quite eccentric. It reminds me very much of like Idea Xbox games. It's on Xbox and PC. Like Idea Xbox games I played like 3 years ago that were just very experimental, very like rough around the edges. Which this game absolutely is. It's basically telling a story. It's all about looking back at, you know, how you were as a child, all your aspirations as a child, what you could have been, what you wanted to be. And the game starts out as you being this, like, I'd probably say somewhere in their 20s, this woman working in a centre, you know, we've all been there, like, in an office, in a cubicle. It's like, this is not how I planned my life to be. It's just basically recollecting childhood memories. And you do get these kind of, like, Captain Toad-esque, you know, isometric little puzzle boxes where you have to collect these, like, honeycombs where the bees make honey. There's some analogy there. But by the end of the game, I wasn't quite sure
what it was.
Okay. Maybe it's like where you originated. Well, hive sounds like a bad thing. Where you know. But yeah, but it alternates between those levels, which I wish it focused more on those levels, refining them, made them more interesting, gave them extra levels, like a Captain Toad, because I love that game. But it alternates between those levels and just random. It seems like filler. It seems like we're just gonna have a level with you're driving an RC car because she, you know, in a past you know, just past memories. She's recalling past memories which are quite banal, which are quite ordinary, like, which can be evocative and, you know, powerful usually, but in a game sense that they don't really fill you with much, you know, things to do, much interest. But yeah, like some of the controls in these alternative levels where you're like driving a C car, you are jumping as a bunny across a field and stuff like that. There's small analogies to these things, but the controls are really, like, they're not great. So I'm glad those, you know, this game in total probably can take you like less than 90 minutes. So fortunately, it doesn't overstay its welcome. But it's just weird and eccentric, and it's like I wouldn't say go out and buy this game, or like, you know. And if you're interested by, you know, what it is and how eccentric it is, then maybe say it's like, oh yes, you have to essentially buy this game. But it's hard to fault. Someone had a creative vision. It's one guy, and it's like he's trying to tell a story. It looks like he's, you know, bitten off more than he can chew. Like he's put more mechanics in it than there was required. Maybe he should have zoned on what made the game great, which is like those puzzle scenes. But you can't fault that. It's like it's just his creative vision. He did it on his own. You know, he has a platform to do it. But yeah, it's just weird. He plays this girl, and she has like these dead eyes. And it's like it's just weird and wonderful in a very abstract kind of way. It's got great music though. It's got like Life is Strange kind of music, which is very nice. But yeah, it's weird.
It seems quite divisive on Steam.
Yeah, like.
And by that I mean there are 3 reviews and 2 are bad. But one is like it's buggy, and the other one is like one was like, this is really great, and then the sort of not recommended that is like actually about it was basically saying some similar things, that there's buggy parts and that like it just doesn't
I wouldn't say
live up to what it's trying to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, in my experience, everybody's experience is different. I played it on Xbox, they put it on Steam, so God knows. But I wouldn't say it's buggy. I'd just say that there's definitely parts where you can maybe get clipped on the environment, and you know, it's nothing like you'd have to restart or something that I encountered, but it's like, you know, it's very rough around the edges. Invisible walls, you know, that kind of.
So it's buggy in the sense of it's not polished versus buggy in the sense that it's game breaking.
Yes.
Which, you know, obviously is a continuum, but I think that usually those are 2 main interpretations. Like, oh yeah, it just, there's bits that don't quite map well versus like, I can't play this game. And I think
it's as you say, lack of polish meaning very rough edges. You know, it's like, okay, it's one dude, I can see why, but still. So yeah, I mean, to be completely frank about it, I don't think I'd recommend this game I think I played it last night. I enjoyed some parts of it. As I say, some of the bits with the controls, and they were just like not easy to handle, and it was like, okay, this is starting to get tedious. But okay, now it's over. Thank God. But
as you say, you know, it may have benefited it to focus on,
yeah,
you know, some parts of it. Like it sounds like, you know, with all of these different kinds of levels and the different control schemes that may come with that, you know, RC car versus being a bunny versus isometric kind of like puzzle movement levels, it kind of seems much more like experimentation. Like the developer kind of just went, what can I do?
Yes.
I really want to be able to work this out and try this.
Yeah,
why don't I make a game where I can do all of these different things?
Is it like feature creep, or is that when they
just
just put too many things into it? Yeah, don't pair back.
I mean, it doesn't sound like it might be feature creep, because it sounds like they might have thought that they should do these things versus like feature creep is usually just like not saying no or not like holding on to your but it sounds like this. I mean, like Ben's sort of story of it seems to be more like, well, I want to learn all these things, so why don't I just put them in my game? In which case, it's like, I mean, obviously we don't know, but it seems like a reasonable interpretation of where, if I want to learn all these mechanics, why don't I just put them in the game so I can learn them and get money for it?
I mean, yes and no. But yeah, it's like, it reminds me of that game. What's that soda can game that came out next? My Name is Soda or something. Soda can. Hold on, let me
I got nothing.
No, I don't know.
It's very. It's soda drinking pro, where it's just like these like little sandbox levels, and it's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. It's like you just can't. I can't even remember what you're doing in that game. It's just weird, but it just sort of feels like that. If anyone, probably the one person in this universe who played Soda Drinker Pro, probably know what I'm on about. But yeah, it's leaves a lot to be desired. But you know, at the same time, I respect this guy tried to do something.
Yeah,
may not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, all the way through with it, but yeah, I think I was up at like 2 a.m. playing it, and it was like, I thought that was high. I don't know how that would have happened, but I thought, I was like, did I just like sniff too long on some Vicks or something like this? Or, I was just like, what's going on? So,
I enjoy how
just like, what is this game?
High this game gave you.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What was this game called again?
It's called Where the Bees Make Honey. It's on PlayStation, Steam, Xbox.
It actually its recommended specs are an i7 and GTX 1080. Like, it seems like it's quite beefy. Yeah. The minimum is a 9. So like I literally can't play this game.
There is a game that I found that I couldn't play it because you couldn't put it below, like, it was something like ridiculously large as well, because I usually just put it like 1280 720 and that runs fine.
720.
But yeah,
solid resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a nice segue to the fact that I've been playing a game on the PC, even though my PC only has the onboard Intel graphics card, because it killed its graphics card, possibly the PCIe port as well. And the reason why that doesn't matter is I've been playing Baba Is You, and I know you, Lucy, is Baba as well.
Yes, I am that.
Yeah.
And so is Ben. Ben is.
Yeah. I figured, This is my segue. It was clean, then I commented on it, making it unclean. Segue is dirty. So, I thought maybe, well, let's talk Baba.
Yes.
Ben, you played the itch.io version, right?
Yes. Yeah. The free version. So it was like 15 levels, I think.
Something
I didn't play all of them because I had like 5 minutes and just thought, okay, I'll have a quick go.
No, that's fine. It's just that you understand the mechanics of it, so you can. Yes.
I will say that I literally only played it today, and
How far did you go?
13 odd levels. So like past the Lake District. Yeah, loads left.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed how especially those early levels were just like here's a type of lateral thinking. Okay, so actually,
Explaining the game.
yeah, fair
'Cause
enough. Does someone want to take a stab at that, and then I can then
Yeah,
I'll jump back in.
I'll explain it. It's basically, it's essentially a puzzle game where you can manipulate the rules of the puzzles. It's basically single screen, pixelated levels. You play as Baba, which looks like some little white sheep. And the central rule, sometimes, not always, but usually is Baba is you, which you'll come to realize pretty much encapsulates the idea of the game. You and when it says Baba is you, these things are literally written out. You have text. One says Baba, one is, and one is you, and you can change these, move around these phrases, and reorder them.
So basically, every object takes a square.
Yeah, it's like a grid-based puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
all the rules
they're
take
not single,
three.
They're not single pixels as such, but you know, it makes it look like it's kind of like a single pixel with something kind of inside it, you know, on that grid-based sort of system. Yeah.
Yeah. So for an example, so for example, you have Baba and you have a flag, and there's a rock in between Baba and the flag. And the rules are Baba is you, so you're controlling Baba. Rock is stop, so when you hit the rock, you cannot go anywhere. And flag is win. So you have to touch the flag to complete the level. So you can change, like rock is stop. You can remove the stop, so it's just rock is. So the rock has just become a null and void kind of entity in this level, and you can just walk through the and go to flag is win, or you could change rock is win. So you don't have to go through the rock; you just touch the rock, and then that's the win.
And depending on how things are lined up, you could move rock as you, Baba as you, and then you move the rock into the flag.
Yeah. So there's all these different variations of solutions.
Yeah, and so I mean, one of the things that I found interesting was you can layer ises.
Yes.
But only specific
I didn't
ways.
get into this.
So if I have an is, I can make a phrase. So what I really like is the objects are black shaded and the sort of status are colored. So it's very obvious, especially when you consider kids can easily play this game. It's very obvious
they cannot. I'll just say that from there.
It's very obvious that it goes black shaded is color shaded, as in rock is stop, and stop
there are
has the
visual
back.
cues to that.
And so
just the
and then
verbiage.
and so you get this. You immediately get that you can't layer things a certain way. But what I found frustrating in the first 10 levels was because I was just thinking of these like super conceptually. I'm like, well, why can't I just do it inversely? Why can't I have color shaded is black shaded, i.e. because if I just read it right to left, it would make sense. Like I'm still organizing these in the right relation, but it doesn't let you do that so it'll let you do up and down, but down.
God, could you imagine converting this game into like Arabic? That'd be
you'd have to invert.
That'd be an absolute. Well, I guess if you invert the whole.
But so what I'm trying to say is, like, so there was a level where I wanted to be like, stop is crab for crab is stop or whatever. I think it was actually crab. Push is crab is what I wanted, but it won't let me do that because the sentence should be crab is push. So because by putting push and then is and crab, it just didn't form the sentence in the right way.
Okay.
And that sort of told me, oh yeah, there are boundaries on these things. It's not just sort of like layering tiles. Like it's actually like linguistically bound because crab is push doesn't make sense.
Yes, and you begin to learn that quite early in the game, probably where you are. It's like, okay, I cannot bend these rules. This game is forcing me down its like mechanical
rabbit hole?
path is. Yes, it's little Baba rabbit hole. It's like, okay, you're not in control of these rules.
Yeah.
Even though you have that, there's a semblance where it's like, yes, I can manipulate these rules, but it's like, no.
Yeah.
Game is teaching a very specific rule set.
Yeah. What I really enjoy is how within 3 levels you get that, like, you can't think of this like a regular game. So like, if there isn't a rule saying wall is stop, then the walls you can just pass through.
Yeah.
And so they show this off in like level 1 or 2 by making the sentence wall is stop accessible to you, where you can just bump something and break the rule, and then you can go pass through the wall. But like 3 levels later, they just don't have. Every level that has had a wall has had wall is stop on it, and then there's a level which doesn't. But you immediately are like, oh, how do I navigate around these things? And then you just push the button to go into the wall, and you're like, oh, there is no wall of stop rule right now.
Yeah.
This is literally just like aesthetic treatment. Like, if there isn't a rule about it, no matter how many things, like if it's a blank space or has a thing on it, it doesn't matter. You can pass through.
It's a texture rather than an object.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you'll find that a lot of the later levels, they do gate off these rules, and by doing that, they put like wall is stop in the corner, and you can the corner you can't manipulate anything.
I mean,
and they put like 1,000 walls
Yeah.
in the corner, so you can't manipulate them.
Spikes which you just cannot move through, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they put all the rules have to be on the map.
Yes.
On the screen.
So you know what you do.
But obviously, if it's against an edge of the screen, there's no way to move any of the bots. So you just like, but that means like, without any pause or whatever, you can just like scan the periphery and know these are the rules I can't change.
Yeah. So there are like definite rules.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've got much further than you, Aadil. Much to the help of walkthroughs, because this game is brilliant in what it's trying to do, but I don't know if it's because I'm too stupid, if it's just frustrating. Like the further I've got into it, it's just like, I think there's quite a few things where it's like, it's got like this Super Mario World like like overmap kind of thing. And it's like, as soon as you move into like these new islands, they like introduce new mechanics, like new rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it spends enough time introducing you to these new rules.
Oh, that's a shame. Because I mean, what I liked about these early 5, like the first 5 levels, is it made it very clear what you like. It was like, these are the rules, and also here's a way you probably didn't think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it because with the start of that game, I was like, okay, it goes up gradually, the difficulty, but I'm feeling like some of the later, it doesn't do that, not nearly enough. And when you have all these different rules interacting with each other and against each other, sometimes I've completed the level and was like, I do not know and understand how that worked.
How that happened.
Why did that work? Why did that suddenly allow me to do it, but not this other thing? And it's like, and that's where it becomes frustrating, and it's like,
so just it is scaling issue.
I think so. That may be part of it, and also,
I mean, that's the good. Well, it's what a good puzzle game does. It allows you to learn the language that you need to be able to move forward with. So when things get harder, and have an understanding of how you can manipulate what is going on.
Absolutely.
If you get to a level and something kind of just happens, and you're not really sure how it's happened, okay, that's fine, but it doesn't help you in your understanding.
Yeah. It stops being a puzzle then.
Yeah.
So this is my biggest. So my perennial gripe with the later levels of Portal 2 are they become hunt for the portal spot rather than figure out like it's find the portal spot, then backfill. Okay, so what are these portal spots and how do I solve the puzzle? Versus like all of Portal 1 and most of the first half of Portal 2 are like almost everything's portable, and so it's just a question of navigation and efficiency. and then it became, no, you don't get navigation. The only route is the efficient route. Find it, and it stops being like, what's great about it is the flexibility, and so I think that's the thing puzzle games can easily do poorly, which is my way is this, like the only way is my way. And
I'm so glad you brought that up, because with Baba Is You, because I was thinking, oh yeah, there's going to be like multiple ways of finishing these levels, and with some there are, and even when I played it at like EGX last year, like the person who was demoing it, like, oh, somebody else did it that way, and these, these are in the first few levels, but absolutely the later levels like only one solution, and it's like, and
I also hate that Baba Is Win doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm like, why doesn't that work?
Unless it's
but it's Baba Is Not You. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
Yeah, but it's like, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, why doesn't this work? And sometimes you have to wrap your head around. No, this is, as you say, this is my way or the highway, and it's like what they were thinking. And
but it makes sense, because Baba,
it does.
Baba is win, but then you are
not
nothing. You have no value.
Yeah, I mean, what I enjoyed in these first 10 levels was like playing with you as flag or flag as win, or like oh, I can, if I have access to the is win sentence, then I can affect the win. But yeah, and so I like that idea, but again, I haven't gone to the later levels where I'm already disappointed. I'm pretty disappointed that it becomes less flexible.
Yeah, and I'd love to see like someone with a much more mathematical brain than me, like a programmer or something, try to play with this, because the game is brilliant. Don't get me wrong. I may have sounded a bit down on it, but it is a brilliant game, like what it's trying to do, and it's one of those games that make you feel like an absolute genius when you actually solve one. But it makes you feel like an absolute dummy when it is such an obvious, not obvious, but it's like, oh, I look at like YouTube and the solution can be found in like 30 seconds. Like, why didn't I think of that? And it's one of those where it's just very, two-sided.
I had higher hopes for the scaling because you go into basically there's a world map, and then there's like levels which are numbered, and then there's regions which get you to a mini world map, which then will have leveled, so numbered as points, which are then levels, and you need a certain threshold to pass that region, but it's not all of them. And I noticed on that first lake level that like it was pretty straightforward to get through the first 8, which was all you needed to move to the next one, but those last ones in that region were more difficult. And they're like, okay, this is good level design, because if I want to be a completionist, I'm gonna have to work for it, but if I'm just trying to get through the game, nothing is holding me back. And also, there was a bonus level in that Lake District which wasn't numbered, and I just stared at it, and I was like, "This is so far beyond all the other things. I don't."
I've done that a couple times.
And I was like, and I like tried a bunch of things, and I was like, "Nope, I know I should know how to solve this. I can't." And I jumped into the later levels in that Lake District, and it was like, "Cool, I'm doing okay." But that level was definitely like leaps and bounds more difficult, but it makes sense because it was like an unnumbered special thing, so I thought those differentiations, at least in the early game, were well designed.
Absolutely, that does happen, where it's like you go into a level and you're just like, nope, I'm out. But as you say, it allows you to, okay, I'm completely stuck on this level, you can go to another one, because every level that you complete, like branches into 2 more levels, so that's helpful. And as you say, to get those little flowers to move up, like the final kingdom, whatever, you don't need to complete all the levels, which is nice. And I mean, the way that it's quite fascinating how the sole developer, I should say, how he's managed to understand, like, I mean, this probably comes through a lot of like focus testing and stuff like that, and play testing, but to understand like, oh, this level is only slightly different from the previous level, but I'm going to put this as like a bonus level because it's way harder. But it's like, it shouldn't be way harder because there's literally just one more element on it. But it's just the way, obviously, the way people think. Yeah, the way people think, and it's like, it's probably just like one more step, if that, or just you do something in a different order. But it's just fascinating how he's known and, you know, like perfectly tuned the difficulty of these levels, and just knows how. It's like, okay, I've just put one more element in this, but it's going to be far harder, or it's just, you know, in terms of human thinking, how it's just going to be much further removed from an easier level. So that's pretty good.
So I've been playing Gorogoa.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And that game kind of, you know, you have the basic understanding of the mechanics, you know, laid out in front of you. You have 4 squares, and you can move different scenes between these squares and do different things in those scenes. But I got to a point where there was one where I had to I had to make a clock and put 2 hands facing 2 certain ways. And, you know, I understood through the clues that it gave how to get those hands in the positions. But for an absolute age, and I don't know what it was that I didn't quite pick up on, there is a certain order to layering those squares on top of each other to form the clock. So you've got one hand on one square, and you've got another hand on another square, and everything I was trying to layer across. And then suddenly I just found it by accident, which I must have gone back into a different thing, or I'd gone into a different through a different order, and suddenly I'd done it, and I'm thinking, okay, it's fine. You know, Gorogoa is beautiful, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and it works really well. But that understanding just wasn't there.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way about Gorogoa. It's a fantastic game, but yeah, I was just like cheesing it for a lot of the time. It's the same way with G30 as well. I don't understand why I'm cheesing a lot of these things. Which actually, like, Aadil, you were talking about Portal.
Yeah.
When I was thinking about like Babu Is You, it brought my mind back to Cube 2.
Yeah.
Which is probably the closest that we're going to get to Portal at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking how well that game scales. What a magnificent puzzle game that is. Everybody should play that game. It's superb. Everything makes sense, and it just layers and layers and layers more mechanics on you, but it does in a very gradual and approachable way. And yeah, the last few levels where you're dealing with all these different scenarios and variables, and it just makes sense. It's like, yes, puzzle games should be like this. Like Elo as well.
It's a good point to finish the conversation on. Puzzle games are excellent, but
they
can be amazingly frustrating.
I would say excellent puzzle games are magnificent. They're
the best around.
I mean, when the average user gets empowered to feel like they were doing something difficult by consistently doing it, takes a lot of effort and a lot of design. And when you hit that and you notice that it's like, oh yeah, everyone's gonna like, this is doing it, this is pacing so well, like there's just nothing sort of finer. It's just like, because too easy, and then you're like, well, these puzzles are dumb. If you don't have the breadcrumbs, then you're like, I hate this game. It is a terrible balance to try and find, let alone for a bunch of people, right? Like, so when you hit a game like that, you're just like, holy shit. And I think that's what Portal 1 was.
Yeah, you just bowled over by it, like, honestly. And, like, I remember someone talking at I think it might have been EGX, or maybe it was a Hitman dev, I can't remember, but they were like, look, we've got all the elements available to see, you know, for the player. The player knows all these elements. They know that there's like 1, 2, 5, 6 elements to play with, and it's just a case of them figuring out which order. And like, a lot of puzzle games don't do that. It's like, oh, there's some hidden thing, or there's like, oh, something's very obscure, or something's not well explained. So it's just like, yes, as you say, it's probably just a very hard like balancing act. But if you got the fundamentals there and you leave it up to the player, and you've taught them everything that they need to know, then yes, it should be
straightforward.
I'm backseat game designing. Designers all about making games.
It's kind of it's interesting to see kind of like how that idea moves into other games, or at least games that would probably consider themselves kind of like other genres. Because I remember one of the things I really loved about Dangerous Driving. No, that's the new game that's going. Danger Zone 2.
There we go.
Which is a game where basically you drive a car along a track and have to explode it in certain ways.
People game.
So yeah, the Burnout. Yeah. Not
guys.
Burnout people.
Free Fields Entertainment.
Yes, Free Entertainment. Yes. Essentially, it was like a secret puzzle game.
Yeah.
You got to a point where you're like, right, how can I need to get the maximum amount of damage out of this, and I need to move between this coin, this additional like explosion, then this silver coin, then this additional explosion, then this gold coin to rack up as many points as possible. And I need to hit it by hitting here, then going here, then exploding and moving over here, and then doing this, and then doing this. And that's, that it kind of makes sense for them to go for that kind of slightly more arcadey kind of mechanic. But it just turned it into a puzzle game, knowing the best motion to move through that space.
So it was just about your execution at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like Hitman. That's why I love it. It's just a big old puzzle game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the progenitors of this were like some of do you remember the PSN game Pain that came out on PlayStation 3 launch? I mean, that I think was like a very stupid game, but it was clearly, it was like how much fling guy at the thing, how much point can get.
Oh yes, I remember.
And like you would replay the levels trying to maximize points based on what you figured out on how things like broke apart or like multipliers, etc. And it was like it's a puzzle, and like figuring out that your game a puzzle game will things along. So I think that's exactly what happened with like Hitman, especially the new ones, right? It's like the earlier Hitman games were first-person shooter games with like objectives, and then at some point it became, what is the most novel way you can achieve this with all these tools? Here's a sandbox, solve the puzzle the way you want, but like the objective is the puzzle, like and I think that's embracing that made the new Hitman, although I haven't played much of it, way more interesting.
Yeah, it's very good.
Play the new Hitman.
Yeah,
I don't have a graphics card.
Doesn't matter. Buy it on PlayStation.
I own it
buy
on
on anything.
Personal computer.
Did you get it last month on PSN?
No, maybe.
Who knows?
It's
going for very cheap.
I only started PSN when The Witness and something else was.
Call of Duty. So this month, for the Division 2, basically.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough. Should we move on away from puzzle games? Aadil, would you like another beer?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. How much time do we have with
I have no idea.
Say 20 minutes.
Cool.
You open that. I've got a light topic. I've got a very, very light topic for us.
Okay.
All right. I'm drinking the Smoking Gull from Half Acre Beer. It's 5.3%. It has a government warning. Where are you from? Chicago, Illinois. Sorry, I knew it was somewhere in the States. I just can't remember where.
The Windy City.
Lovely minimalist can.
Yeah.
There's your Smoking Gull. It
is a Smoking Gull.
Oh my god. Cut that out and frame it. That's
right?
amazing.
It's so good. Yeah, so it is a 5.3% beer. That's all I know. It's a pale ale. That's all it says, pale ale. I thought, given that I was having a 10.5%, I thought I would not quite have it and have something sort of lighter.
That's fair.
It also, immediately on pour, getting tropical notes. A little more passion fruity than mango, or at least more like generic tropical fruit versus that very specific mango that I got off of the Honor. It's a little cloudier, but also, I mean, it's a pale ale. It's a little more translucent.
Yeah, slightly, yeah.
And I can't believe that's hazier than the 10.5% beer.
Right?
Madness.
Like I said, yeah, a fruitiness, tropical fruitiness on the nose. Ooh. Oh, that's interesting. I had a hit of like pretty straightforward, a little piney, but just straightforward bittery hops right away. And then it faded and had another wave of sweetness. And then it leaves really dry.
Nice.
A little too dry. Like,
Okay.
I almost immediately, within 5 seconds of a sip, want to stop and like just have another sip because it's just drying my mouth out.
Is it that? Do you think it's that bitterness? Is it a slightly harsher bitterness to it? Yeah.
Yeah, and also like so the mouthfeel is drying as well. So like texture is drying. It's quite sort of quite bitter, touch piney, but like mostly just like pulling. Like it's just drying you out. It's like, hey, I'm surprised it's not an IPA, just given how in your face the bitterness is. It's not super strong. It's just super forward. If that makes sense.
Yep.
So it's a pale ale that's super forward in its bitterness. It's interesting. Again, I've never had anything before. It is not the balance I like with respect to bitterness and mouthfeel, etc. Like I said, I'm feeling like I'm going to drink it quickly because it's calling something like the taste leaves me with something saying I want to replace things quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
Where did you pick that up from?
Corsicanum.
Okay.
So yeah, bottle shop in Bristol. It has a slight note in the taste of that tropical fruit. Very slight. There's just like right on the beginning of the taste, there's a bit of a sweetness and a hint of that, but almost all of that sort of huge hit of tropicalness on the nose is just not present in the taste. So because of that, it makes it quite like straightforwardly drinkable because it's actually there's not a lot of things going on in the taste.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. That's
I
fair.
might say something else in a little bit.
But like that Smoking Gull, like that just makes it a 10 out of 10 beer.
I was gonna say you cannot
Just on the counter.
Oh shit! I gotta take a picture, by the way. Let me get this framed correctly.
Nice. You do that, and I'll introduce the topic that I wanted to discuss this week. It's a topic that we talked about several times on Tanked Up, and it's supermarkets and beer. Normally we're kind of chatting around like, oh, we've seen like 2 beers in a supermarket. Look, what a revelation this is that people get to drink it. But Tesco are having a bit of an expansion of their craft beer ranges. I first saw about this on a Facebook group, which I can't remember the name of it, but it is essentially craft beers in supermarkets. Let's talk about the different craft beers that are in supermarkets. And a gentleman who is called Domo Hill, who's also on Instagram, is a buyer for Tesco, a beer buyer for Tesco. And he used the group and has been using his Instagram as well to showcase the new beers that Tesco have picked up. And it has caused some conversations, a little bit of debate going on about, supermarkets' kind of place within the craft beer sort of scene. I'd be interesting to kind of like to chat around that essentially, because I know that we very much have come from it as it's great if it's a gateway place for people to then go to your local bottle shop. But just to kind of reel off the sort of the new things that are going on for Tesco, make it they seem to be taking it maybe that next step further, because they go through a few different, Domo has been unveiling different beers that are coming through it sort of like each day, and all of these are going to be available I think from Monday, from the 1st of April in a lot of Tesco's, including some Tesco Expresses as well. I know from what they've been saying. So I know they already stocked Wildcard, so they've got more Wildcard beer coming. They already stocked 4 Pure. They've got more 4 Pure beers coming.
Nice.
They already stocked Thornbridge, and they've got more Thornbridge beers coming. But the first new brewery who I saw was Unbarred, which is really interesting based on their kind of on the scale that they're at. Unbarred. We've had We've had a few beers from Unbarred kind of between us on the podcast, and
2 of their honey ones, I think I had.
2 honey beers. That's unheard of from any one brewer. And I know they did. I really enjoyed their single hop, single flavor, whatever. I can't remember exactly what that was, but the series that they were doing, and I've been to tap takeovers at bottle shops for them and things and stuff. So it's really interesting that they've kind of said, we can step up, we can,
good space to get into.
Send out beers, great for Unbarred. We then have 5 Points Brewing.
I've seen that, or maybe that's elsewhere. Maybe that's Marks. I've definitely seen 5 Points in high street supermarkets.
Yeah, I can't remember seeing them. So for me,
definitely
that was okay. That's fair enough. But 5 Points kind of seemed like maybe the brewery that would go into the supermarket. Makes sense. Yeah, maybe. And then Brewdog are increasing their range, but going into their Overworks branding stuff. So Overworks is kind of their craft beer of craft beer bits. Their experimentational kind of lines. That's the Brewdog bar that you see at the beer festivals and things, when they have limited run beers that they are creating. So it's interesting that they're going into them as well.
It's not going to be limited run anymore.
Exactly. This was our experimentational line that we're now taking slightly more mainstream. And then the 2 that really surprised me was North Brewing Company.
That one...
That is...
That's in the middle. For me.
Well, I mean, it is, but so we get a few beers down here from North. They started out a little more getting a few collaborations that they've done with people down here, and then we start seeing a few more of their cans. Maybe a year ago, maybe even less than that, perhaps.
About a year ago.
That they've been sort of appearing, and possibly the biggest one is Magic Rock.
Yeah, that wasn't a surprise at all.
I was waiting for the fucking Magic Rock bomb.
Yeah,
not surprising.
I wasn't. Yeah,
not surprising.
I was shocked just because I just didn't. Just the notion of Magic Rock and Tesco's sort of blew my mind.
No, I think it absolutely works. Their beers are so cheap anyway.
Oh yeah, and
they have a massive distribution.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. I guess I'm just so naive. I just wouldn't have thought. It was just like, oh shit, yeah, that's totally a thing that could happen. Also, I get why it happened, but it was
if I had to bet on like 3 breweries who would be in this list, Magic Rock would probably be all 3 guesses. It's not surprising at all. It's like them and Beaver Dam. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I mean, so Magic Rock have been sort of, like that Marks and Spencer's beer essentially. That they've put their core range in Marks and Spencer's.
Oh, they've been in Marks. Okay.
So
it's even more obvious.
Kiss and all of those sorts.
Yes,
a few of those
true.
sorts of
Fair enough.
So for Tesco, they've got their Sorcery, which I think is a newer beer, a
I
session
think
IPA.
it's newer than the other one, but it's been around for a while.
Yeah. They've got Inhaler going in, and they've got Cannonball going in as well.
Yeah, they're all good.
But they've also got a beer called the Luminescence New England IPA, which is a Tesco exclusive beer.
Okay.
So they've obviously gone, okay, yeah, we've got a new deal with you. We'll make an exclusive beer for you. That's fine. Distribute our beers as much as physically possible.
All to my local ones, no. All the ones in Birmingham, nowhere else.
That's it. Just send all of the cans here, please. And so, a few of the brewers have a different level of beer. So, like Magic Rock have got 4 beers going in. Unbarred have got 2 going in. So there is, for Unbarred, there is the Mixed Berry Gelato Pale Ale and a Grapefruit New England IPA, which is a collaboration with a brewery called Hop Stuff, which I think they've already got in Tesco. They've already got some Hop Stuff beers in Tesco. And again, I think I've seen Hop Stuff that have done collaborations with other people like North Brewing Company previously in Tesco. So maybe that was, that was their way into those other breweries, perhaps. But more beer in Tesco's does seem like a great thing. It seems like it will bring more people in. But again, my concern is that Tesco's will, or not just Tesco, but then if this goes into more breweries and more supermarkets, and more supermarkets start to compete for individual beers and to try to round out their complement of what they can offer within the supermarket, and then they go for those one-off releases, it just kind of feels to me like it's just going to push the bottle shop out massively.
Yeah, I mean, we did see that bottle shop close. I can't remember what their name was. Just this week, wasn't it? And
It was this week. I linked it to you guys. I can't remember the name of it either, can I?
But I think that, I don't know, it's like beer enthusiasts like us, it's like, money's always going to be a thing. I mean, like, even when I went to the tap takeover today, Garage's beer, they were like, okay, these are imported from Spain, so it's going to be a bit, more pricey. It's not somewhere I usually go, so I don't think they knew what I knew about beer as such. And it's like I'm used to paying quite a lot, and they were like, just brace yourself. And it was like, £5 for half a pint, and it's like I know, but it's like, fortunately I'm able to afford it at this moment in time. I don't have a mortgage to pay, but that's not always going to be the case, and I don't want to go back to drink Carling, God forbid. So it's like, if I can get a Magic Rock beer for like, even now it's like sometimes, I went for the Arbor beers because it's like £3.50 for a pint's worth of beer, and but at the same time it's like, yes, I'd always prefer to go to the smaller shops, boutique beer places, but I can't always afford to do that. And it's like, with Brexit looming, God knows what's going to happen, so it's like, for them and for us,
Completely. And it'd be interesting with Brexit looming to see whether these other breweries, someone like Lombard, who they brew out of, or at least every time we've had them, I don't know where they're brewing now, but it says on the can they're brewing out of someone else's brewery, essentially. Whether they're going to, be able to continue kind of doing that with this sheer jump in sort of like scale. But from it kind of, I don't want the bottle shop to become somewhere I go for like a special release, for somewhere I go to for suddenly for just the podcast, It's kind of like, we're kind of in that bubble that we try a different beer or a couple of different beers every week. I mean, we're in the bubble where we try more than a couple of beers every week. We just broadcast only a couple of those beers that we're trying kind of every week. It's very rare that I ever pick up like a 4-pack of something, and it's only maybe if I'm going on like a long weekend and I know I'm not going to get the chance to go out somewhere whilst I'm away, that I'll go, right, maybe I'll go and buy like 3-4 packs of I'll get like Jaipur, or I'll get New World IPA, go out and get a few in, because I'm going to drink them all on the first night, really. But as you were saying, Lucy, you're going away, you don't want to break the bank, so it is a good option to kind of pick up that 4-pack that's kind of being put out there. But
that's basically what I've done on sort of nights of like house parties or whatever, going to the co-op and picking up the Brewgutter 4-pack of lager.
I was thinking about that today.
And I've done that a handful of times. In the past, sometimes it was like, a 4-pack of like Dead Pony Club or whatever. To be honest, if we hadn't sort of hooked up with Brewgutter and like I actually heard how great their thing is, I probably would. Like, it's 6 in one, half dozen in the other, and then it's like, oh well, please helping. So my rampant alcoholism at a house party can do some good. So I'll pick this thing. I think that's the sweet spot that I think all the grocery stores and their craft beers have sort of figured out, is they don't it's much more often you see packs than you see singletons, at least in the grocery stores I've been at, and that makes sense because that's sort of the type of
clientele.
consumer. Yeah, right. It's just I'm buying some beer for tonight, and now I have better selection.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time you saw like a pack in a bottle shop?
Sure.
Never. But
Right?
We see you occasionally see like gift packs, perhaps. So 3 or 4 beers from the same brewer, maybe, but different beers.
Yeah, that costs £20. But just to finish on, this is probably the one thing that I am probably optimistic about, where I don't think it's going to have a knock-on effect for the bottle shops. Is that it's like anyone who's entrenched in this like hobby, this industry. We obviously, it's like a disease. We always go for the newest things, like we always want what's fresh, what's in style. Supermarkets are years behind it. I mean, look how long Canada's been around. So it's like, we'll probably just go there out of convenience. It's like, oh, we're recording tonight, I don't have any beers. Okay, I'm just going to pick up something from Tesco or something. And like, what's really telling is that there's a co-op, around the corner from me. They sell Brummy Brewery cans, and the woman recognizes me till she was like, "You're the only person who buys these." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I come here every so that I do buy them, so you don't stop stocking them."
Yeah.
So
co-op seems to be doing it right, and stocking the local beers, don't they? Because I see like Bristol Beer Factory beers in Bristol co-ops.
Yeah, so it's like not. People will always just go back to their calling. They're not going to be like, "Oh, what's this?" Pretty looking can with little ghost people on it. What's this magic rock? And then just like they don't care. It's like we, people like us will still continue to support the bottle shops, and that's where we're going to get most of our beers from. Even if it is like we're buying Arbor beers, which are cheap, we're still going to do that from the main bottle shops. Well, I'm going to be doing that at Tesco. So everyone's going to be fine. The whole country's going to sink into the ocean anyway. We'll all go at the same time. The bottle shops and the supermarkets.
Brexit may happen, and sea level is going to rise so much anyway that it won't matter.
Yeah. Meteor's going to hit soon enough. Yeah. Please.
And there'll only be salt water. There won't be any drinking water left as well, because everyone
there'll be no water.
Drought crisis.
Everyone will be like, "Yes, give me beer." Everyone will be flocking to those.
What a lovely note to finish on. Obviously, this week for me, I've had one beer. It was good. I really enjoyed the Maiden 2017. Will be interesting to see, try and pick up the 2018, or at least taste it somewhere, to see what the difference between those two will be. Aadil, you had 2 beers. Which did you prefer?
3 guesses, none of them count. It's the Northern Monk Honor. I mean, I really like the 10 on the Smoking Gull.
You have to keep that.
I was gonna say, and I'm glad I picked it up. It's not that I was super disappointed by it. It just didn't. It didn't just like the taste flow just wasn't there. It was a bit too abrupt, and again, the fact that it sort of left my palate in a sense of like needing to replace really quickly. I don't like when a beer forces me to drink it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Yeah,
and that's sort of.
I like that. I like that abusive relationship.
You need a little bit of violence somewhere. So
it's a good beer. It just doesn't it just doesn't like line up. Like the Northern Monk just does what it's doing.
Fair. Nice. I should probably pick up Honor then the next time I go into the bottle shop, because I've seen it. It's hovering. I've seen it, and I constantly reach for it and think, no, I'll get something else. It's a bigger percentage beer when I could get something else to kind of just enjoy midweek with a few other beers. But the violence for you listeners in our relationship is go to outoflives.net. Do it now. That's the only violence you'll ever experience from us. Pointing you towards a website which you may or may not go to. You can talk to us everywhere at tankedup_cast, Twitter, Instagram, tankedupcast@gmail.com if you want to email us for whatever reason. I am at Nova_47 on Twitter and on PlayStation and Steam. Aadil is at the Omniarch. Almost everywhere except the places they don't really count anymore,
I'm gonna start streaming Baba as you.
That's it. Just
Please
Baba
do.
Just
I'd love to see you get stuck on one of those levels for 2 hours.
that's it. No solutions to any puzzles.
Oh yeah,
just
I was gonna
2
say-
hours of frustration.
But to be honest, if I stream that game, I would not move. Like the idea of like, I'll try this other level. No, I'm gonna stare at this and break my face in because I think that would be more entertaining than
Yeah.
than like, no, I can't get this. Let's try something else. Like, no,
Yeah, it's like the
must-
screamers on horror games, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of
People like to
those
see
games
scream.
where it's like, oh, you think you can come back to a puzzle and solve it later? No, if you don't understand it, you just don't. You just never. It's not for you. Never gonna
And
happen.
that's fair.
Yeah.
And Baba is Juicy Loose 9 almost everywhere.
Everywhere now, just everywhere.
It is everywhere, yes.
Yeah. Because funny story. I changed my username on Instagram because I'm trying to be a millennial, and I was like, who's got Juicy Loose 9? Who on its earth will have Juicy Loose 9? I'm trying to get Juicy Loose 9. Search who's got Juicy Loose 9? Me.
Yeah. So how many Instagram accounts do you have?
Now just one. I have no idea.
Did you
It's
delete
like,
the other one?
maybe Facebook just signed me up for it. Like Facebook made a business page for me
Facebook does
randomly.
some crazy things.
It made a business page for me called Lucy's Happy Journey, which sounded like a massage parlor.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did you do this, Facebook? No prompting from me.
It's the
hack.
best business name. When you do set up another business, it should be just called Lucy's Happy Journey.
Yeah, especially if you
If
just
it's a
need one for accounting
massage parlor,
purposes. No, like you know how sometimes you just need like
another
to be
business.
incorporated for
Yeah.
whatever, but it's never
Yep.
going to appear on any, etc.
Yeah.
That's the name you use on one of those things.
My actual business
It's like,
is nowhere
it's
near as
fucking
filthy.
penis, so might as well be.
Ugh.
Joy. So that's it from us. For business advice, there's lots of other podcasts to probably listen to. So for another week, we've been tanked up. Bye-bye.
Also, stay tuned for the upcoming new podcast launch, Out of Invoices.
Baba is goodbye.